Hey, what's going on, guys? Arekkz here, and today I want to talk about Halo Infinite. More specifically, I want to talk about what we currently know about the game. If you caught the Xbox showcase the other day, then you'll know that we saw some Halo Infinite gameplay. In fact, it was probably the only gameplay they really showed during the showcase. But regardless, it was cool to see because seeing Master Chief, of course, make his way into this new world, explore the ring, and test out some of the new gameplay mechanics like a grappling hook and some other things like that, then definitely I'm excited to dive in. There's some new gameplay elements in here that are worth talking about, so if you guys want to get a little rundown on what you can expect in Halo Infinite, then look no further. Of course, if you do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know if you guys are excited for the game, let me know what stood out to you the most from the gameplay, and of course be sure to keep it locked for plenty more. Now let's start at the top with the most basic stuff you guys want to know. Of course, it releases Holiday 2020. Interestingly, it will of course be part of Game Pass. In fact, pretty much everything they showed during the Xbox showcase is part of Game Pass. Yes, if you want to buy it yourself, you can, but if you want to get a load of games for Game Pass, then that's also a pretty cool value proposition. Now, while we don't have an exact date window just yet, I think partly the reason for that is because they haven't actually announced the console release date yet. It is looking likely that this will, of course, be coinciding with the console release, which will make for quite a strong launch title. But either way, this is currently scheduled Holiday 2020, and co-op will be available at launch. Multiplayer is, of course, an integral part of Halo and is going to be included. However, there isn't much word on what that will contain just yet. They did say during the showcase that they do plan to talk about multiplayer later on. They plan to have another Xbox showcase where they can show even more games further down the line, and if we have to look at some of the kind of rumoured release date windows for the consoles, it's looking around sort of October, November time, so I would hazard a guess that maybe in September we might get another look at Halo to kind of find out more about multiplayer. Of course, Forge mode is also making a return. It's stated to be more powerful than ever. This showed up on the Steam product page, so again, while they didn't actually talk about Forge yesterday or show anything, it is said to be more powerful than ever, which, you know, you would kind of hope it to be because it's on a new console. It should be powerful, but honestly, having Forge make a return is going to be awesome because I just can't wait to see some of the crazy community creations. Cross-platform play is also confirmed, so if you happen to be jumping on PC and your friends are on Xbox, you can all play together. And the team have said they've been working with the Halo community on feedback and testing, and are also addressing options for hands-on kind of flighting opportunities prior to launch to get further feedback from players. But anyway, top level, that is some of the kind of just like initial points you might want to know just to kind of set the groundwork for what we currently have. Now let's talk about exploration, because one of the first things you would have seen if you watched the gameplay was the kind of open world nature of this game. Most of the areas you can see, you can travel to with vehicles and a grappling shot, and the grapple is just awesome. I mean, I feel like, to me, personally, everyone's got their own kind of personal preferences, but I just like grappling hooks in any video game. Like, do you guys remember Bionic Commando? That game was kind of janky, but it was also really fun to play just because of the grappling hook. Anyway, I digress. The point is, grappling hook is going to give you plenty of exploration elements and kind of capabilities. You can shoot it to repel to most surfaces, allowing for great maneuverability. You can use it to pull items towards you, and just in general, it's going to be a fun way to traverse the environment. It was quite nice to see in the gameplay that it does appear to be something you can just use on most things. It's not one of those ones where, say, you play like adventure games and you have to grapple to predetermined locations. Take like Ghost of Tsushima, for example. You can only use your grappling hook on certain things, and I know it makes sense in some games, but having that freedom, it kind of reminds me of Lost Planet. Lost Planet grappling hook was so cool. I love that one a lot. Anyway, that being said, talking about exploration even more so, the world itself is built with exploration in mind, and it's encouraged. There are many side stories, so you can look at it on the map, you can actually open it up and there are things for you to choose to go to. So, you know, whereas the typical Halo structure, you would load into your mission and you would just follow the objectives, and there will still be objectives for you to follow, this is designed to give you a much more kind of open and exploration feel, where you can kind of go where you want, do what you want to a degree. Yes, if you want to focus on the main story, you can just do that, but for those of you that want to get more out of the world, there'll be things that you can follow, mysteries and objects to discover that will apparently affect gameplay in different ways. So, definitely one for the explorers. On the combat front, Heroic difficulty was designed as the baseline difficulty for this game. There's a whole slew of brand new weapons, as well as many returning favourites. They were showcased in the demo, with returning weapons including classics such as the battle rifle, the assault rifle, plasma pistol, and even the energy sword. Some of these ones you might not have seen if you just watched the live stream, but there has since been a short trailer that went up on the Xbox YouTube channel that gives us a look at some of those missing items that we didn't necessarily see. However, there are also some brand new weapons such as the Ravager Plasma Launcher, the VK-78 Commando, which is a heavier automatic rifle, and the Bulldog, which is a weaker, more spammable shotgun option. They've also been what seem to be new takes on older weapons, with the Burst Carbine being sort of heat-based and a 3-round burst weapon in comparison to, say, the Covenant Carbine having a magazine and semi-automatic fire, as well as the Mangler, a pistol that looks kind of like the Mauler shotgun pistol, but seems to instead have more long-range capabilities, more like a revolver. Again, the grappling shot that we spoke about earlier has kind of two main functions in combat. You know, exploration is one thing, but in combat it can be used to pull either yourself to enemies, allowing you to get in close for, you know, those close quarters melee attacks quickly. Alternatively, you can use it to pull objects and weapons towards you, allowing you to use them. So for example, you can pull fusion coils towards yourself and then throw them at enemies, creating explosions, other things like that. So that's going to be pretty exciting. There's also a brand new drop wall, which is an equipment item that allows you to deploy a large barrier that stops enemy fire and grenades from the front, but it also allows you to shoot back. Both the grapple shot and the drop wall are confirmed to be present for multiplayer. However, they have been confirmed to be drops as opposed to built-in functionality. So for those of you guys that are maybe kind of worrying it might sort of hinder with the traditional Halo experience, knowing that they are drops just means that, you know, you're not necessarily going to have them right off the bat. Honestly, you know, I kind of like these slightly more unconventional things. I know, you know, people prefer the kind of grounded, standard Halo experience, which is fair enough, but the opportunity to use a grappling hook in gameplay in multiplayer, that's my jam. I'm all there. Anyway, that being said, there have also been a handful of vehicles shown so far, but the ones confirmed seem to be the Manimal kind of classic Warthog, complete with a machine gun turret on the back, as well as a Shade turret, the stationary weapon platform for the Covenant. There is also a UNSC Wasp on the cover art of the game, however we have yet to actually see one of these in game. Now when it comes to talking about the story, campaign length is said to be bigger than Halo 4 and Halo 5 put together, so for those of you hoping for a big, meaty experience, this should deliver that. Also, according to Halo Waypoint, the campaign demo we saw actually takes place several hours into the story, where we see the Master Chief and the pilot being shot down by anti-air encampments. They then go on to say that while the discovery of Master Chief floating in space initially brought hope, the situation has gone from bad to worse as they find themselves being pursued by the Banished. We are introduced to the new Brute War Chief Escharum, who has led the Banished to victory over the UNSC's forces and taken control of the Halo Ring. While Chief is of course no stranger to battling against brutes, this is his first time facing the Banished and his most formidable opponent yet. The Banished are basically a faction initially featured in Halo Wars 2, however players will not need prior knowledge of them in order to enjoy the story, as the vision set for the game is to create a story experience that is basically inviting to new players and welcomes them to, you know, fall in love with Halo in the same way that many people did years ago, meaning that Halo Infinite will actually be a good place for new players to jump in. Veteran players have also been kept in mind too, however, with Infinite picking up with the continuation of the events of Halo 5 Guardians. So for the most part, that is pretty much it. The last thing I do want to kind of comment on was just kind of a quick note that sort of came up in a sort of interview, and that was the notion that the Halo Ring itself will kind of reform as you are playing throughout the game, which adds a layer of kind of Metroidvania style exploration to the game. When you think about it, where, you know, you might be exploring around and the Halo Ring is initially broken and shattered, and as you're able to kind of piece it back together, it then allows areas to link together, which you can then revisit, go back to, and basically explore. So I definitely think for those of you that like exploring worlds, that like kind of getting more out of the world and kind of looking around, and I bet there'll be plenty of secrets and maybe even skulls hidden in those locations, then sounds like the game's going to offer some pretty exciting things on that front. But anyway, for the time being, that is pretty much it. That is a rundown on everything we currently have on Halo Infinite. Again, if you guys are excited for this, let us know in the comments down below. Let us know if you guys would like to see more on this game on the channel, and of course, keep it locked for plenty more. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the Arekkz Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there. If you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with, it's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.